Bruh. I was thinking that like for my first video, I was gonna be able to do like an introduction on myself and everything, talk about my favorite things, what this channel is gonna be about. Then Suzanne Collins happened with the Hunger Games. And oh my goodness, I probably won't be the same. I mean, I've read dystopian before. Some of my favorite books and series are dystopian. Divergent's good, not my favorite. Maze Runner, big fan. I've read the Scythe arc and the Giver Quartet. But Suzanne Collins really takes the cake with the Hunger Games. It's hard to write something this good. Picasso was an author, it'd be Suzanne Collins, and this would be her Mona Lisa. At least I think Picasso did the Mona Lisa. Someone might be mad at me for that. Anyways, these books, this trilogy right here is amazing. Dang near perfect series right here. I'm going to give a review over each one of them, not going into the plot or anything crazy like that, not a play by play on what happens in the book, just a light review, a couple of things that stand out in each one. And the Mockingjay, I just finished it last night, will probably be a bit more in depth as far as themes and that ending, that crazy ending. I mean, it was emotional. I'm I'm still hurting from that. Actually, I might start crying right now. Let's get right into it with, of course, The Hunger Games, the book that started it all. See, I don't think I've ever read a book that had me so emotional from the get go. Not even like my favorite books. Freaking The Song of Achilles or Daisy Jones and the Six, two of like probably my top two books of all time, have never made me feel the way this book does from the start. And a lot of that comes from the reaping. By like chapter 3, you're at the reaping and Prim's name is drawn and Katniss is panicking. She has to volunteer and protect her sister. It was so emotional. And the tribute, like three finger tribute they all do to signify the dead or honor the dead that they do for Katniss to honor her for making the sacrifice for her sister because no one expects her to come back is so, bro, it's so saddening. But then we get into the capital and whatnot, and that's where I think it really gets crazy. Because I love the build up to the games themselves, but I love seeing the capital people and how they think of the games. See, like all these people, Effie, Trinket, um, Katniss's like crew, like makeup crew, all of them. I love seeing them interact with her because none of them are affected by the games like she is from the district. They all see it as a form of entertainment. They all love it. And she even refers to them as like children, which I love because they're ignorant. They don't know any better. That's just the way of life for them. They don't realize that there's lives that are being lost in this and how much that matters. It's just a very interesting dynamic that I love. As far as like in the games, first off, Rue's death, that was sad. That got me right there. Rue dying, Katniss stinging to her, the flowers and everything. All of that was heartbreaking. I felt like it got worse though whenever District 11 sent Katniss that loaf of bread. The loaf of bread was the first gift sent from another district to an opposing tribute was to Katniss for honoring Rue in such a way. A young girl who was battling for her life in an arena somewhere that none of the tributes thought she should be. It was just so emotional. As far as the rest of the games though go, that's probably my favorite part of this book is being in the games, actually being involved in all that. But Kato, oh my goodness. No, you're not meant to like Kato. I don't like Kato. He's bloodthirsty. He plays the games for sport. But his death, oh my goodness. His death was crazy, so messed up. I want to start off by saying I love the idea that the mutts created by the Capitol looked like the tributes, and that's what really did them in. That's what really put them at the brink of death. Katniss might have finished them off, but these mutts that represent the tributes that he hunted down and slaughtered are what really did damage to them. They're what practically killed them. Katniss refers to them as a mound or like pile of meat and flesh when she looked over to shoot them, which was crazy. Like these books, I thought were supposed to be rated like PG-13 or something. They're for kids, young adults. That scene with Kato had me questioning whether or not this was written by Stephen King. It was so like graphic. I loved it, but like it made me sick. Lastly, of note for this book, the berries. The berries really did it. I love the scene. Katniss, of course, had the plan in her mind the whole time that they'd be saved. But PETA didn't know this. So PETA was ready to like Romeo and Juliet that thing. I loved it. Loved it so much. That's it. I'd say that's it for the first Hunger Games. Really good. I rated it a 5 star. I rate most things a 5 star, but I loved it. Now for Catching Fire. It's not the fact that I didn't like the first 3/4 of it. It's the fact that the first 3/4 of it weren't in the arena. It was a slow, very political start, which was needed. Builds the world, builds the circumstances, what's going on with all the uprisings and stuff in the districts. It was very much needed, and it really dealt with a bunch of the propaganda side of things. But it was just kind of slow. It's not the fact that I didn't enjoy it. I just really loved in the first games actually being in the arena, being part of all that. And for this one, you're only in the arena for 100 pages. But the big standout for me was probably Finnick. I loved Finnick so much, which we'll get later. We'll get more into Finnick and Mockingjay. If you know, you know. But Finnick loved this character. He was very fun, caring. His relationship with Mags, although short, very brief, I loved it. Loved everything about it. It was just a fun character, his personality and everything. I thought it brought a lot to it, to the story. Another reason I wish we could have spent more time in the arena though is it was a really like sick design, the whole clock style and everything. The fact we didn't get to see what actually happens in each section of the clock kind of made me mad. Like it was such a cool concept. All these previous tributes and winners, all these victors in what this really cool arena designed around the clock. And each hour of the clock is a different tragedy, different attack from the Capitol. I just really wish we would have spent more time in that. It was a sick concept. I loved it. As far as emotional points in this book, I was horrified when died. Or well, he didn't. Cena didn't die in this book, but when he's attacked and beaten in front of Katniss before the games and taken away, I was so sad. And to get into spoilers for Mockingjay, of course, like I'm about to jump right into Mockingjay. But when I found out Cena was actually dead, like early on in the book, you find out like really early. I was holding out hope until like the last 30 pages that Cena was still alive because he had an off screen, off page death. Like I figured he was still going to be alive and we'd get to see him again. We did not. Kind of sad, but overall, really liked this book. Really enjoyed it. 5 out of 5. Actually, probably not. It's probably more like a 4.5. But loved Catching Fire. Oh wait. Speaking of Cena, loved Katniss's dresses. Her freaking dress that turned her into a Mockingjay was dope. I didn't mention it in the first book. I loved the whole like girl on fire concept with Cena. Anything revolving around Cena in these 2 books, I love. He's a dope character. I love his personality. He's someone from the Capitol, but still loves and cares for Katniss. Like he seems humane out of all these inhumane people from the Capitol. He also has a very simplistic design described by Katniss. Like he doesn't have all the accessories and fancy stuff that people in the capital normally have. Suzanne Collins really tried to make him more humanized as a character. Getting into The Mockingjay. Slow start. Very, very slow start. I didn't enjoy the first half of this book that much. A few interesting things happened when she went to District 8, fought the airplanes and whatnot. But the first half of this book really deals with the propaganda and political side of things, which was good. It was needed. It was interesting. Didn't care for it that much. I mean, just compared to the rest of these books, the action in the arenas in the first two and the second half of this book is just it was kind of a drag. But as far as that first half goes, Finnick's wedding and finding out that Finnick was essentially his body was sold to people, essentially, to put it lightly, by Snow and all the trauma that goes with that was so saddening. I loved his wedding scene and everything, though. It was so, I felt so happy for him. Him and Annie, they were a wonderful couple. I loved that. But one thing this book really made me think of, hate presidents, as far as this series go. President Snow, of course, the main antagonist, horrible. Horrible person, horrible guy. He's the one that's controlling the Capitol, running the games. Then we get into District 13 and we have freaking President Coin. Miss Coin. Bro, hate her. She's kind of just like, at the start, made to be kind of simplified. Just a character that was like, I don't want to say simplified, actually. President Coin was made out to be uptight and everything because of her position and very on the rules. But as the story progresses, we find out she's just cruel. She's just as bad as Snow, essentially. Or if she's not now, you can tell that she's going to develop into that kind of person. They're going to end up just in the same situation they have been in if she continues to rule if they win the rebellion. But that takes me to Prim's death. That's probably between Finnick and Prim. Those two deaths were so saddening. I mean, when I read that Finnick died, I reread the paragraph like 3 times. I was like, he dies this fast? This just happens, then we move on? I hated the fact that we moved on so quickly from his death, like it wasn't a bigger scene. I think it wasn't necessarily needed, but it was, because it shows the horrors of war and how it affects everyone. Finnick was a character that had already been through just as much, if not more, than all these others, but he didn't make it out of the war. Katniss did, Peeta did, Gale did, all these characters that have been through a lot. Finnick doesn't make it out. He's been through more, possibly, than them, but the horrors of war don't discriminate against what you've been through, your life, who you are, the estate. And then Prim's death, oh my goodness. Prim's death and what it does to Katniss was crazy. I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't ready for it. Like last night, I promise you, I shut down when I read that. It was so sad. So very sad. I love the concept of trauma to end out these books. Katniss and Peeta have been through so much, and they end up together. Of course they do. They were the main love interests. Even though they end up together and their story ends, they have kids living in 12. It's still described as they both are still dealing with their traumas. Peeta is still dealing with memories popping up from when he was brainwashed. Katniss still deals with nightmares and trauma from all she's been through in the games, watching her sister die. It was very. I just love the way it was handled in these books. I love the concept of how war and humanity destroy each other. Humanity will repeat its mistakes over and over again. And that was demonstrated with Coin. She wanted to redo the Hunger Games, redo the Hunger Games. What we've been fighting all these books to stop, Coin suggested we do them again, but with the Capitol's children. What was worse was I panicked when Haymitch and Katniss agreed to do it. When they agreed that, yeah, let's do that again. Let's send kids into an arena to kill each other. I panicked. I thought I was gonna have to make this video and just yell for 20 minutes about how mad that makes me, how it goes against everything that these books, Katniss and Haymitch as characters, go against. It goes against them as characters and what they fought for. But when Katniss shot Coin because she was like, it's going to be the same thing with Coin. It's going to be a cycle of never-ending war and hate. And in the future, the Capitol will rebel against people, cause another war, kill them off, and they're going to restart the Hunger Games with the District's children. It's going to be a never-ending cycle, as war pretty much always is. It's humanity. It's how they work. We function. Amazing story, though. Mockingjay, as far as my rating goes, I'd say a 4 to 4.5, just because the first half was kind of slow. It really was. It wasn't bad. It was just slow. Didn't have that much going on. Really dealt with the political and propaganda side of everything. I very much so enjoyed it. It was still really good and entertaining. I'd say that puts this series as a whole. This is a 5 out of 5 series. 5 out of 5 stars. Perfect. Near perfect. I don't know what else you can want from a dystopian YA series than this. Although, at times I was really surprised that this was a YA series. Because I've seen the first 2 movies and like half of the third one a while back. It's been a really long time. But the way some things are described in these books, they go over such mature themes. They go over concepts that you wouldn't think would be gone over in a young adult children's book, pretty much. And grotesque things, like kind of violent, nasty things happen. Finnick being sold, essentially, by Snow. Cato's death in the first book, it's saddening. And it really caught me off guard that these books would go over something like that. But it makes me love them even more. That Suzanne Collins wasn't afraid to go over concepts like this. And she does them so well, especially for children books. You understand what's happening. You understand everything so easily. And she did a fantastic job. This is definitely a 5 out of 5 star series. I don't know if I could recommend this any higher. Now, I can't wait to get into The Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes and Sunrise on the Reaping. Heard Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes isn't quite as good as the originals. Still a really good book. Not kind of drags longer. I heard Sunrise on the Reaping might be the best book in the series, though. And I'm really excited for it because I loved Haymitch's character, which I didn't really talk about him in this. But I loved his character in the first 2 books. Third book, I really disliked him a lot more there. He just didn't get a lot of screen time. And when he did, his characterization just wasn't quite the best. It was just kind of a brat, kind of controlling and like overly rude. Which in the first 2, he was rude, controlling, but was in a very caring and loving way. But yeah, I think that does it for us. First video, guys. I guess it's done with. Been kind of nervous. Took me a while to work up to this and do this. And like I said at the start, this wasn't my idea for my first video or nothing. I wanted to do an introduction video and then a couple of light videos to start off the channel. Just about my favorite books, about myself maybe. Do a bookshelf tour, which you can see behind me some. That was kind of the plan, but then I finished the series last night. I was just like all inspired. I had to speak on it. The ending and everything was so captivating. It was so good. Yeah, guys, I think that's going to be all today. But I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.